So, welcome to Jumbo IS and welcome to our lecture series called Daily News in Shorts. In this lecture series, we cover a particular day's current affairs in a very short span of time within 30 minutes. The idea is you get to cover your current affairs on a daily basis, but you don't have to spend your entire day just reading the newspaper. Therefore, we will cover the entire day's current affairs within 30 minutes. But just watching this lecture would be job half done, because just after watching it, you need to revise it as well. Why, you ask? Well, revision helps in consolidating these current affairs in your memory. Otherwise, you'll quickly forget them. Now, you can revise these current affairs from the notes provided by us, and these notes shall be shared on our Telegram platform. The link to our Telegram channel is provided in the comment section below this video. Okay, so enough of the introduction. Let's straight away jump into the lecture. But first, let's take a look at the list of topics that we shall discuss today. So here's the list. In total, we have 4 topics. Number 1 among them is India's energy security. That we have constant supply of energy that includes electricity, fuel for mobility and other things. Okay. So how will we maintain energy security? Because with growing population and growing economy, energy demand is going to increase. So how to match up that demand with enough supply? This is what we are going to discuss in this topic. Then recently, Registrar General of India has reprimanded other registrars with respect to birth and death registrations. They say that 10% of births are still not registered, and this is bad. Okay, so they have reprimanded these registrars, Registrar General of India. So what is this entire system or procedure or legal procedure with respect to birth and death registration certificates and all that? We'll talk about this. Then there was this article in the Hindu newspaper which said that senior citizen population is going to rise in future. So what are we, especially our healthcare system, is doing about geriatric care? Geriatric care means care of elderly, senior citizens. So we'll talk about this issue. And in the end, we'll talk about India Justice Report, which was recently released, which talks about the judicial system in our country, law enforcement situation in our country, criminal justice system in our country. Okay, what pitfalls it has, what strengths it has, what weaknesses it has. We'll all talk about all these things in this last topic. All right, then let's start discussing them one by one, starting with topic number 1, which is India's energy security. Now look, experts have predicted steep increase in demand for electricity in the coming years. Now, along with that, India has resolved to become or achieve net zero emissions. Net zero emission means net zero greenhouse gas emissions, okay, by 2070. So in future, electricity demand is going to increase. And we have to supply this electricity without emitting greenhouse gases because we have to achieve this target also. There is requirement for rapid expansion in renewable energy, that is solar and wind, because both of them do not emit greenhouse gases. Nuclear energy, because it doesn't emit greenhouse gases, and green hydrogen. Okay, because electricity demand is going to rise in future, plus we have to achieve this status of net zero emissions. Well, we have to focus on these 3 energy forms. Now, India has set itself some targets. First target is net zero emissions by 2070. That is there. Then 500 gigawatts of non-fossil fuel based electricity capacity by 2030. Then 100 gigawatt of nuclear power by 2047. The year in which India wants to achieve Vikasit Bharat status, developed country status. Okay. And with National Green Hydrogen Mission, we are also focusing on increased usage of green hydrogen. So these are our targets. And these targets have to be achieved because India has to achieve this twin goal of supplying electricity for energy security. Side by side, that electricity generation should not emit any greenhouse gases. Okay. Now, what are the reasons behind rising demand for electricity? Why would demand for electricity rise in future? Why do experts believe that electricity demand is going to increase in future? Well, there are very simple reasons. Okay. Number 1 is growth. Growth in economy and in population. Rising population would require more electricity. Rising economy, more and more factories would also require more electricity. plus India's aspiration of becoming Vikasit Bharat by 2047. Well, all of this clubbed together would definitely increase demand for electricity. Then another thing is that government wants to electrify certain industrial processes which were not earlier electrified. For example, well, earlier cars used to run on petrol and diesel. They still run on petrol and diesel, but government wants to electrify. Government wants to transition to electric vehicles. That would require electricity, so demand for electricity would increase. Then government would want to introduce electric heat pumps. That would require electricity. Then there are certain industrial procedures, for example, manufacturing of steel, manufacturing of cement. All these processes require furnaces where high heat is generated. Now, these furnaces produce heat where steel is smelted, cement is made. These furnaces are heated using coal. Now, that emits a lot of greenhouse gases, causes air pollution. Government wants to shift to electric furnaces for manufacture of steel and cement. Now, that would also require electricity, right? So, electrification of end users of energy, this would raise demand for electricity. Plus, we are heavily focusing on digitization. That would include more data centers, AI, smart infrastructure, smart cities. Now, all these things, data centers require constant power supply. Okay, so electricity demand would increase. Plus, there is another reason for increased demand for electricity: climate adaptation. It is said that with global warming, heat waves are going to become more frequent. Now, cities have to adapt to these heat wave like conditions, so they have to have cooling centers all over the city. That would require air conditioning, that would raise demand for electricity, right? So, there are multiple reasons why electricity demand would increase. Now, along with increasing supply for electricity, we have to ensure net zero emissions. Now, for that, we have to basically focus on three things. We talked about these three things, right? Need to focus on expanding renewable energy, nuclear energy, and green energy. But expansion of these three forms of energies currently face some challenges. What are those challenges? First of all, renewable energy is intermittent in nature. When the sun is shining bright and high in the sky, solar energy would be produced. But when it's nighttime or it's cloudy, solar energy won't be produced. Similarly, when the wind is blowing fast, wind energy would be produced. But when the air is still, wind energy won't be produced. So renewable energies are intermittent in nature. Now, one way for solving for this intermittent nature of renewable energy is that when the sun is shining and you produce surplus energy, you store it in batteries and all, so that during night time when the sun is not shining, you can use this stored energy and power your houses, factories, and whatnot. For that, you require large scale storage infrastructure, battery infrastructure, which is not the case currently in India. So, this is a challenge. Okay. Because that requires huge cost and material supply constraints. You require critical minerals for batteries. So, that is a problem. Then, third alternative was nuclear energy, right? But nuclear energy is extremely expensive. Setting up nuclear power plants is highly costly affair. So, that is a challenge, right? So, what is the way forward? What should we do? Look, as far as nuclear energy is concerned, instead of setting up big nuclear power plants which have high capital cost, India should focus on small modular reactors. Okay, small modular reactors have low capital cost, they have low risk, and they are more acceptable. So, focus on this. Then incentivize green hydrogen use in industries. Okay, and strengthen power grid flexibility. Your power grid, electricity supply grid should have smart meters, load shaping, digital platforms, so that electricity supply can be varied according to demand. But that would happen if your entire electricity grid is AI powered. Okay, so you need to focus on that so that you save and do not waste electricity. All right, so this is the entire news. Let's shift to topic number 2, which is birth and death registration. So, the Office of Registrar General of India cautioned private and government hospitals to report incidents of birth and death within 21 days. Okay, Registrar General of India was not happy. The reason is that they said that 10% of births and deaths still go unregistered, and that is not good news. Okay, so they have said that if you fail to report births and deaths, then you will face a penalty. So, Registrar General of India has given a warning to registrars in India who are noting down these births and deaths. Okay, plus, from October 1st, 2023, digital birth certificates have become mandatory. They have become the single and only document to prove date of birth for admissions to schools, colleges, government jobs, marriage registration, and many other things. Okay. Earlier, 10th class certificate used to be used as a proof of date of birth proof. But now government has said that only digital birth certificates shall be utilized for these things. Okay. And this rule has been made since October 1st, 2023. Now, what is important for us to know is, well, what is the entire legal procedure with respect to birth and death registration? Now, this entire thing, I'm so sorry, this is from the previous news item. Okay, this entire process is known as civil registration process. It is a statutory process that mandates recording of every birth and death occurring in India. Now, there is a law made for this, Registration of Births and Deaths Act 1969, which was amended in 2023. Plus, under Section 23, Clause 2, well, if registrars fail to record birth and death and fail to issue certificates, well, they will be penalized. Registrar General of India will oversee the entire process, and it functions under Ministry of Home Affairs. Okay. Now, what is the entire registration procedure? Well, there is Registrar General of India, and then different state governments appoint chief registrars. Under chief registrars at local level, panchayat level, there are registrars. Now, the government has said these registrars shall be government hospitals. Government hospitals would note down birth and deaths. Okay. Private hospitals region would report to government hospitals. Registration of birth or of death shall be made in 21 days. Otherwise, penalties shall be applied on government hospitals. Okay, that's it. That's all you need to know. Now let's talk about third news item of the day, which is geriatric care in India. Now, as I've mentioned before, geriatric care means care for the elderly. Okay, and in India, elderly's definition is anyone with the age of 60 or above. So anyone with the age of 60 or above shall be classified as elderly, and for these people, geriatric care would be provided. Now, experts have said that India's senior citizen or elderly population is going to rise in future dramatically. Okay. Now, as per population report, India's elderly population will reach 193.4, 19.3 crore by 2031 and 30 crore 2050. Now, this would put a lot of pressure on geriatric care, health care, mental health care. Okay, this would put a lot of pressure on hospitals. Now, you need to increase the capacity of our healthcare system to take care of these 300 million people. Now, the thing is, it's not just the healthcare or health challenges that these senior citizens face. They face a whole set of challenges, and for all those challenges, we need to provide geriatric care, right? So they don't just face healthcare challenges, they also face other challenges. Now, what are those challenges? Challenges for elderly. First of all, they face physical health challenges. With age comes various morbidities. Aging leads to multiple chronic illnesses, demanding specialist care and frequent medication. Then, senior citizens of our country nowadays also face mental health issues. Depression, dementia, that means people who forget a lot, loneliness. And these cases of depression and loneliness have risen, especially with the rise of nuclear family systems. Because the kids are working outside their homes, they're working away from parents, parents are left alone, and loneliness and depression creeps in. Plus, financial is also an issue. It's not just health, but many elderly lack regular income, pensions, and health insurance. Plus, our elderly also face another challenge, that of infrastructure. There are few age-friendly hospitals, there are few old age homes, transport systems that cater to old people. Okay? So this is a problem. By the way, remember International Day for Older Persons is celebrated 1st October every year. So just remember that. Okay. Now, government has taken some initiatives to provide geriatric care, right? So you need to remember some of these government schemes. So what are these? Atal Vayu Abhyodaya Yojana offers elderly homes, old age homes and all. National Program for Healthcare of Elderly. Sacred Portal, which provides employment to fit old age people so that they have livelihood opportunities, they don't feel lonely. Then Rashtriya Vayoshri Yojana distributes assistive devices to below poverty line seniors. Assistive devices like hearing aids, prosthetics and all. And social pension schemes government has launched. All right. So these are some of the government initiatives. Government has also launched a national helpline for elderly if they have any complaint or anything. Clear? So this is the term geriatric care, which you should know, and what are the challenges and what are the solutions for all those challenges. All right. And now let's move to last news item of the day, that is India Justice Report. Now, southern states of India are performing best when it comes to policing, justice delivery and prison management according to 4th India Justice Report. So as per this India Justice Report, southern states do much better than rest of the country when it comes to policing, justice delivery, that means performance of the courts, and prison management. Okay. Now Karnataka topped the list and West Bengal came last. The survey was done for 18 large mid-sized states. Now, this India Justice Report basically evaluates each and every state on 4 criteria. What are those 4 criteria? Police performance, prison management, judiciary, and legal aid provided to poor people who cannot afford lawyers. So, on the basis of these 4 pillars, scores are given to these 18 states and then rankings are given. So, southern states do much better than rest of the country. West Bengal came last, Karnataka came first. Now, about the report. So it is a national ranking assessing capacity of states UTs to deliver justice across 4 pillars. We have talked about those 4 pillars. Now, who releases this report? Remember, it's not the government. It's Tata Trust. Tata Trust collaborates with CHRI, that is Commonwealth of Human Rights Initiative, Daksh, Vidhi Center for Legal Aid, TESS, Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Prayas. All these institutions, organizations come together, led by Tata Trust, to release this report. The purpose is simple: to promote data driven reforms by evaluating states on justice delivery using official government data. Okay, so that states are informed about the lacunas, the shortfalls, pitfalls, their strengths and weaknesses of their criminal justice system. Now, this report gave a lot of positive news, but it also gave a lot of negative news also. So let's discuss both of them. What were the positive news, positive features of this report? First of all, gender participation in judiciary and police increased. That's good news. Case disposal rate. High courts and subordinate courts quickly dispose of cases. This has improved. Technology is being integrated into the judiciary. For example, digital filing, e-seva kendra, legal aid, NALSA's online system, e-conferencing, video conferencing. All these systems have improved justice delivery system. Plus, prison management has increased. Tamil Nadu has the top spot when it comes to management of prison. Okay. But there are some negative news also. There is some negative news also. And what are those negative news? First of all, every state has some quota for women officers and personnel in police. No state has so far fulfilled its own quotas for women in police. Okay. Less than 1,000 senior women officers exist. So this is bad as far as gender participation is concerned in law enforcement. Then, poor infrastructure of police. 17% of police stations have no CCTV, 30% lack women help desks. So that is a problem. Then most, except Tamil Nadu, most prisons in our country do not perform very well. Most of them are overcrowded. And the reason why they are overcrowded is that most of the inmates in those prisons are under trials. Under trials are those prisoners who are not convicted of any offense. Their case is going on still in the courts. Okay, they can be proved innocent, but till the verdict for their case comes, they are staying in these prisons. So 76% of the prisoners are under trials. That would lead to overcrowding of the prisons. And this overcrowding has increased. Plus, 5 crore cases all over India are still pending. Plus, when it comes to legal aid, that is providing lawyers to those who can't afford one, well, government spends a lot of money for this, but not enough money is being spent. As far as the data is concerned, just 6 rupees per capita is spent on legal aid. That is abysmally low. Okay, so this is some positive news, this is some negative news. Though you know about India Justice Report, the 4 parameters, and which states have performed well. All right, and with that, we conclude today's session. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and I'm sure it has added value to your preparation. But, like I say this at the end every time, please do not forget to revise these lectures. Revision is extremely important. All right, then. On that note, I'll be signing off with the promise of seeing you again with another set of news items. Thank you, everyone.